Hey guys, it's Danny Elliott. Welcome back to the show. Thank you for joining me today. So today I want to talk about how you don't realize how much you've lost until you're gone. Because there was a video that was published. The lady's name is Katie Hopkins. She's from the UK. Visited the free state of Florida. She really liked it there. See, a lot of people like to badmouth Florida, like, everyone is leaving Florida now because Ron DeSantis and the insurance crisis and the hurricanes and the cost of living in Florida. Have you guys noticed that we aren't seeing people leave Florida and then move to Minnesota and buy a cheap house because the cost of living is so much lower? We don't see people leaving Florida and moving to Boston or New York. You know, they're leaving Florida and they're going to the basement at their boomer parents' house. That's where they're going. But no one ever says that in the media. But she goes on in her video talking about how you don't realize until you leave England how much you've lost and how hard life is, and how much freedom you've lost, and the cost of living, and the stress on the average people to pay for everybody else. She talks about the water bill. Thames Water is 5x year over year, and everybody's just paying for it. Like, nobody talks about it in the media. If you say anything that's against the government over there, they're going to cancel you, and they're probably going to arrest you. Let's look at what's going on here in the United States, though. I'll bet your utility bills are all up double-digit percentages, right? Your water bill, your sewer bill. Like, let's think about water. I mean, water's a renewable resource. You know, it's not like the government has to pay to produce water. It's not like oil. Like, you know, it's just there. All they have to do is purify it and deliver it to you. And the system they deliver it to you on is an ancient system that the government doesn't maintain properly. The stress on average people to pay for everybody else. And she talks about how the law is not the law. Now let's think about this. Those of you who like to drink your green beer on St. Patrick's Day. I mean, how many people got arrested on St. Patrick's Day for drunk driving? But yet, in New Jersey, there's a mayor who was caught drunk driving with her 2-year-old in the car. She's swerving all over the road, almost taking out utility poles. And what happened? They just issued her a citation to come into court. She didn't go to jail. I mean, if you guys got arrested on St. Patrick's Day, you guys went to jail for drunk driving. They handcuffed you, they put you in the back of the police car, and they hauled your ass to jail. But, you know, if you're a politician, you could basically do whatever the hell you want in this country and get away with it. We know that. It's different rules for different people. I mean, in Rhode Island, they have this illegal alien who is a judge. So he's issuing punishment to American citizens who get in trouble. He's doling out punishment. But he broke the law to get into the country. And nobody says anything about it. You know, it took a new administration for the FBI to come in and take him down. But there's different rules for different classes of people in the United States. If I get pulled over right now and I'm doing something wrong, I'm gonna be ticketed. I'm probably gonna have to go to a traffic tribunal. But if an undocumented immigrant gets pulled over with no driver's license, they let him go. No problem. The cops don't care. The elected officials don't care. She's talking about how 70% of everything you make in the UK is basically stripped from you by the British government. They just take it. So you're left with like 30%. I mean, is that enough to live on? No, of course not. These politicians think that every dollar we make is their money, and they are supposed to be able to decide what to do with it. And that's how it is now. That's the way things operate in 2025. The central planners in Washington think that our money is their money. So if we cut any tiny sliver of government, they go completely nuts. You know, because they see it as that's their money and we're taking it away from them. But it's not their money, it's our money. They're taxing us. They're taking our money and spending it. And it should be the other way around. It should be we're the ones deciding how to spend it, and we give it based on whether we think it's a valuable investment or not. But that's not how it works. The government in Washington thinks they should be able to take all of our money, and then they should decide how much of it we get to keep. So we have a completely ass-backwards system in America now. She talks about how in Florida, you know, people say good morning to you, and there's no trash all over the streets. It's a clean place. She wasn't worried about having her bike get stolen if she left it outside. She was looking at some real estate and she saw there was a window open in one of the houses that she was viewing. So she just assumed that there would be squatters living in there. The house would be torn up. You know, as you guys may know, Florida doesn't do that. It's the only state in the entire country where we don't tolerate squatters. You can't just jump in a house and then make up a fake lease on a piece of notebook paper and then claim that you're a tenant in that house. And then the cops just say, well, nothing we can do. Guess it's time to go back to Dunkin' Donuts. Florida doesn't tolerate that shit. But the other states do. The law is not the law. Depending on who you are, you have special rights. And the people that work and pay taxes have no rights. She talked about how life is much harder in the UK and how much freedom has been lost over the last 5 years. The cost of living is skyrocketing, and you just don't realize how much you've lost until you've gone, and then you come back. And I've been thinking about this a lot because I see what's happening in America. I see how the cost of everything is increasing exponentially. And I'm tired of it. And I also see how there's all these skirmishes going on. You know, like the Maine governor. We have these people fighting back for men to compete in women's sports, and we still don't know what a woman is here in the United States. It's the only country in the world that doesn't understand the difference between a man and a woman. You know? They don't have that problem in Latin America. They don't have that problem in Southeast Asia. Everybody knows the difference between a boy and a girl out there. But over here in the United States, we're still confused about what a woman is. You know? It's just really strange, the society that we live in today, you know? So, you know, I'm a guy who likes women, and I don't like the women that are packing below the belt, you know? They're not really the kind of woman I'm into. Sorry if that offends some of you. But I noticed that men are still men and women are still women in places like Latin America, in places like Southeast Asia. They're not confused about it. The men are masculine and the women are feminine. And you know what? They actually still have families there. They're actually still interested in having a nuclear family. There's kids playing out in the park, you know? Everything isn't like a garbage can everywhere you go, people throwing trash on the streets and such. It's actually a nice society. So, yeah, I've been thinking a lot about, I want a divorce from the IRS. I want to get a passport from somewhere else and be able to stay and spend some time in some of these other places and kind of explore what it's like. And then when I come back to the United States, maybe I'll have an appreciation for other cultures. You know, they always want to talk to Americans about how we need to celebrate diversity. But if you want to leave and go overseas, then you're said to be this kind of traitor. The right will attack you for, not supporting the USA. And, you should stay here in the USA and pay your taxes, and everybody should stay and fight. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight anymore. I want to live a nice life. I want to live a lifestyle that doesn't cost me so much money. I would much rather live in a place where it's less expensive, where they have fresh, whole foods, where everybody isn't eating processed garbage food from the middle of the grocery store just because it's cheaper. I want to live in a place that's warm and friendly. Like she was saying, people in Florida, she said they would say good morning to her. Like, I'm up here in New England. People are very upset in this part of the country right now. People are very angry right now. I remember when I was up here before I moved to Florida, 2021 and 2022. People were glad. They were glad that Joe Biden got in there. They were happy that everybody had to walk around in a mask. They thought this was a good thing. Everybody is staying safe. Nobody has to work. All the government workers, they got to work from home. The teachers didn't have to go to school anymore. Everything was wonderful in New England, right? See, I remember those times. I wasn't very good at covering my nose. I didn't take my medicine. I was one of the 19% who resisted during those times. The vibe has changed in the Northeast. I want to experience what Katie experienced. I want to travel overseas because, the United States is not the place I remember when I was younger. It's different now. It's a lot different. We won't simply solve our problems by electing one person. We still have the central banks driving us straight into stagflation. Powell telling everybody that the economy is strong and resilient when it obviously isn't. The government is strong and resilient. The economy isn't. I wanted you guys to think about that today because I think that we all need to find out how much we've lost by going away somewhere else and experiencing different cultures, experiencing maybe a society that we remember when we were younger, but it isn't that way anymore. But it is still that way in some places in the world. It is still like that. And there's still countries in the world that know what a woman is, and they know what a man is. They know what feminine is, and they know what masculine is. They understand the difference, Like, we're in the United States, we have masculine women and feminine men. And it isn't really working out too well. We're not getting too many children out of the deal. You go around the U.S., the population is starting to look really old. You don't see too many children. So what is the future of the United States? I mean, it's cool for somebody like Katie, She's a little bit older, so I guess when you get to be older, you start to think about what's going to happen with our children and grandchildren, but we have no children in the United States, It's a very small share of the population. So I want to go overseas. I want to experience the things that the country used to offer to the average middle-class person. And I'll report back to you and let you know what I find when I go there. But yeah, for right now, I'm going to go on tour. I'll go on my farewell tour of America in my RV. And I'll show you some of these places that used to be nice towns. And I'll show you what's happened to them. We'll take a tour. We'll look at some real estate in these different locations this summer. And I'll report back to you. And I hope you enjoyed the episode today. Subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 100 by the end of the month if I could. So if you're not already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications and leave a comment below, hit the thumbs up button. Just do all that stuff, all right, guys? I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. I'm Danny Elliott.